Yo, tapping in real quick, something light, nothing major. We just finna sit here and chop it up for a few minutes for what it's worth about some parlay options for UFC 310. Parlay options for the prelims, parlay options for the main card, parlay options for the whole card, parlay options as far as haymakers and Hail Mary tosses are concerned, all favorites, swap out options, some dog plays. I'll do my absolute best as to cover absolutely everything for y'all. You know what I'm talking about? And with that being said, let's go ahead and dive into it, man. Fucking with these prelims as far as, these favorites are concerned. The three most significant favorites on the prelims are Chase, Kennedy, and Dom. And in that order, if I'm not mistaken. But those three, that three-piece only comes together at minus 125. It's when we get to talking about some of these other individuals, as long as you're on the side of those three guys, as long as you're on the side of Chase, Kennedy, and Dom. Chase, Hooper, Kennedy, and Chuck Wu, and Dominic Reyes to be the ones to show up and get the job done in some way, shape, form, or fashion in their matchups with, Clay Guida, Lucas, and Lionheart. As long as you on the side of Chase, Kennedy, and Dom to be the ones to get the job done, again, they only come together at minus 125. But as long as you're solid with those three, then we can use that minus 125 from those three as a foundation for parlays on the prelims. And, we can toss Brian in there, Battle. And those four legs will come together at plus 160. You know what I'm talking about? That if you like Themba, because again, this is on the side, for individuals that are on the side of the favorites for the most part on the prelims. So Chase, Kennedy, and Dom, minus 125. We toss Brian in there. That's plus 160. Then we toss Themba in there. And Themba puts them together at plus 295 for five legs, five favorites, most of them significantly so. You know what I'm talking about? Now, if you toss Joshua in there, I'm solid with Joshua. Those six legs come together at almost 6 times your money for six favorites at plus 539. You know what I'm talking about? Now we starting to talk about something as far as, a plus money number is concerned. You know what I mean? Now, if you want to stay on the side of the favorites, this is where shit gets spicy and we start using swap out options, in my personal opinion, because I'm personally, solid with Chase, Kennedy, and Dominic. You know what I'm talking about? As well as Brian, and I can get behind Themba, and then I'm definitely solid with Joshua. You know what I'm talking about? So using those six at plus 539, we can toss Eric in there, and they come together at plus 1072, or we can swap out Eric for Chris, who's the slight underdog, and we can, they come together at plus 1179. And I personally like Chris in that matchup. Eric, the fight got scrapped due to him. He was injured. Something was going on. I don't know exactly what it was because I didn't dig deep enough into that. If it's out there, you know what I'm talking about? I just noticed what I noticed at the face-offs when he came in, and it was looked a bit uncomfortable and stiff. Getting up onto the motherfucking scale looked like something was bothering him on his right side, if I'm not mistaken. You know what I'm talking about? So, who's to say that whatever made him back out is ready to really rock this go round? You know what I'm talking about? I just like Chris, and the fact that Eric was suffering any type of injury in any way, shape, form, or fashion just makes me more confident in Chris, because I already felt like Eric wasn't going to be able to implement that pressure he likes to implement and try to, get Chris up against the cage and implement any kind of wrestling or grappling, because I felt like Chris would win in those exchanges, in my personal opinion. You know what I'm talking about? So the fact that Eric suffered any kind of injury in any way, shape, form, or fashion, or was feeling ill, or had any kind of ailment, just makes me more confident in Chris. But, this is where the swap out options should be applied, in my personal opinion. You know what I'm talking about? So Chase, Kennedy, and Dom at minus 125. We toss in Brian Battle at plus 160. Then we toss in Themba as the fifth leg for plus 295. Then we toss in Joshua Van as the sixth leg at plus 539. And then it gets spicy, so we can toss in Eric at plus 1072, or swap out Eric for Chris at plus 1179. Or we can forget about Eric and Chris, stay solid with Chase Kennedy and Dominic, Brian Themba and Joshua, right? And toss in Max. And those legs will come together as 7, right? Chase Kennedy, Dominic, Brian, Themba, Joshua, yeah, and then Max. Those 7 to come together at plus 989, or we can swap out Max for Michael. I can get it, understandably so, and those individuals will come together at plus 1306 due to the fact that Michael is a slight underdog in this matchup with a plus money number next to his name. And I can get behind the dog pick, you know, on Michael. You know what I mean? I'm never mad at a dog pick in any way, shape, form, or fashion. And, you know, these 2 individuals have been around for a minute. It's going to be highly competitive, closely contested. And I believe Max is going to produce the better body of work over the course of 15 minutes on the feet in the striking department by landing the more significant and solid shots. But Michael's a dog, man. And at a dog tag, he might get this one down to the ground and put Max in a compromisable position. He might not need to get this one down to the ground to put Max in a compromisable position. He might backpack Max on the feet from the rip. Michael Chiesa, you know, Damian Maya, Aljamain Sterling type shit. These motherfuckers backpack you. You know, middle of the octagon. They don't give a fuck. You know what I'm talking about? You throw something and they slip up under it and they find their way to your back, they'll hop right on you. You know what I'm talking about? So I don't put that past Michael Chiesa to just hop on his back and backpack him for half a fucking round. You know what I'm talking about? And then possibly, you know, get it down and have him in a compromisable position for the rest of the round. Or, you know, maybe Max finds his way out and is able to disengage. But either way you look at it, I can see this fight going either way. So like I said, it gets spicy when we start talking about the, you know, that 7th leg. You know what I mean? But as long as you're solid on Chase Kennedy and Dominic at minus 125, then you can use those 3 individuals as a foundation to start your parlays on the prelims. And, you know, when you consider the fact that Chase is almost a minus 800, he is a minus 800 in some places, minus 900 I've seen him. Kennedy's minus 440, minus 460. Dominic's a minus 330, minus 350. When you consider the fact that those 3 individuals are coming at those price tags, if you can catch them at minus 125 together and use them as a foundation to build off on the prelims, that's solid. You know what I'm talking about? As long as you're behind those individuals to get it done. And then, like I said, Brian, I'm all over Brian in this spot. With all due respect to Randy, he's a bad stylistic matchup for Randy. He's a bad stylistic matchup for just about anybody in the division at this point in time. I think Brian Battle is just coming into his prime. He's, you know, physically, all these skills sets, he's just sharpening up, rounding shit out. He's looking good, man. And I honestly believe we've seen the best there is to see from Randy Brown, while we have not seen the best there is to see from Brian Battle. And unfortunately for Randy Brown, he might be on the wrong side of a highlight reel in this one, via KO, TKO, or via submission. You know what I'm talking about? But I like, you know, I like Brian. So as long as you like Chase Kennedy and Dominic, and you like Brian, they coming together at plus 160. And I can get behind Themba. You know what I'm talking about? I picked Vicente, and Vicente is a dog play. He's an underdog. He has a nice dog tag on his name. So I'll put in a variation of some parlays for the prelims that, you know, and possibly for the whole card that have that fight involved, where I apply the swap out option, but I only have to go light on it based on the amount of fights that'll be involved in those parlays, and I'm swapping out, you know, sizable plus money number. You know what I mean? So it is what it is. I like who I like, but I also properly prepare myself for being on the wrong side of those picks as far as parlays are concerned, man. You know what I mean? So I like Chase Kennedy and Dominic. I like Brian. I like Joshua. You know what I'm talking about? And I can get behind Themba. You feel me? And 06 come together at plus 539. It's Eric and Chris where it really gets spicy for me, man. You know what I mean? Because while I feel like Chris has this one in the bag and it's his fight to lose, so catching him at a plus money tag is beautiful. I caught him at a plus money number leading into the last fight, and then that thing just kept coming down, made him even pick him, and then it made Chris a slight favorite. You understand what I'm saying to you? And I don't see that changing. I think that trend will continue on into this fight card. That plus money number won't last long. You know what I'm talking about? And it is what it is. Because outside of a finish, I don't see where Eric Anders can win that fight. But I wouldn't be surprised on a night where Eric Anders finishes Chris and does win that fight. So that's where it gets spicy, man. You know what I mean? So the swap out options should be applied. You feel me? But with Eric in there plus 1072 or swapping out Eric for Chris at plus 1179, you don't have to go crazy on them as far as putting the ticket in and duplicating it and then putting it, you know, swap out option in and adding the underdog or however you go about it. You feel me? And then the same with Max and Michael. It gets spicy, man. It gets spicy because I like Max to be able to keep this fight upright and land a more solid, significant shots, you know, cause more damage. The wear show a bit more on Michael because it's probably going to go the distance, the full 15 minutes, unless Michael Chiesa finds a finish inside the distance via submission, in my personal opinion. Could Max possibly clip him and find a KO TKO inside the distance? It's a possibility, man. But more times than not, I think it goes the full 15 minutes. It's a, you know, highly competitive, closely contested decision where if Max is able to keep it upright, you know, he should get the nod. But I can't confidently say that. So the swap out option should be applied. With Max, it's plus 989, and with Michael, it's plus 1306, man. You know what I'm talking about? Now, Chase, Kennedy, Dominic, Brian, and Joshua, 5 individuals that I really do like on the prelims. You know what I'm talking about? They come together at plus 320, man. And, you know, that's in order from highest favorite on down. Chase being the more significant favorite, then Kennedy, then Dominic, then Brian, then Joshua. You know what I'm talking about? And those 5 come together at plus 320. And in my personal opinion, outside of Anthony Lionheart Smith coming in here and showing the world that just because Dom, you know, strung off one win doesn't mean it Dom's back. You understand what I'm saying to you? And fuck around and finds a finish inside the distance over Dominic Reyes, which wouldn't surprise me, man, because I said it many times. You know, just because Dom was able to come back and find a victory over who he found it over, which was Dustin Jacoby, does not convince me that Dom's just back all of a sudden. You know what I mean? Because we've seen I'll bring it up, the Chuck Liddells, man. You know what I mean? Where you get slump, find a little victory, then you get slump, lose again. Like, it just because you come back and find a victory against a certain level of opposition in the mix of getting clipped and finished inside the distance, disconnected from your consciousness and all types of wild shit, doesn't mean you're necessarily back and you're going to stay in the win column and the, you know, division should be replaced back on notice. You know what I mean? So, why I am confident that in 2024, coming off of that win, the confidence that has been reinstilled in Dom, you know, he should be able to get this one done. Would it surprise me if Lionheart came out there and got it done in his own right, whether it was via some kind of greasy, highly, you know, contested decision or finding the finish inside the distance, taking his gloves off and leaving on a high note? No, it wouldn't surprise me. I just don't think it's going to happen. I can't see it happen. I can't envision it happening. But I can see Dominic winning in all sorts of fashions. You know what I mean? So outside of that ridiculous shit happening, you know what I mean? Chase, Kennedy, Dom, Brian, and Joshua, man. That's my fabulous 5 on the prelims. You know what I'm talking about? I really do like them, man, at plus 320. Keeping it light, you know, for those who don't want to stress over that many fights and are all right with keeping it light, you already know Brian Battle and Joshua Van. They come together at plus 133, and if we're being all the way honest, those are my most 2 confident picks on the prelims. Brian, fuck the money lines. I don't give a fuck that Chase is minus 800, minus 900. That makes me nervous. You understand what I'm saying to you? Not saying that he can't justify that price tag and get Clay out of there, get the Carpenter out of there inside the distance via KO, TKO, or via submission, which in my personal opinion would have to happen inside the first 5 minutes to justify the price tag. Otherwise, you have to put on a, you know, world-class ass whooping, just a master class, you know, ass whooping where you just don't get touched over the course of 15 minutes if you want to justify a price tag like that without finding the finish. You know what I'm talking about? Like, I'm nervous at Chase at that price tag, and he's going up against the Carpenter, who has been finished quite a few times, more so via KO, TKO than submission. But it's just when you get over that minus 500 money line, man, I get a bit nervous at wrapping you up in my main legs and my main parlays and doing it confidently, so you know what I mean. And like I said, with all due respect to Chase, he might come out here and justify that price tag. He has the significant youth advantage, you know what I'm talking about, like 42 to 25. He has probably a significant reach and height advantage, speed advantage. I mean, he has a lot of advantages. He's very dangerous, you know what I'm talking about. So while I am confident in him, I'm just not confident and comfortable locking him up as I'm not comfortable locking him up as my most confident. You dig what I'm saying to you, man? And Dominic, we already spoke on that. I'm confident in him, but you know, he's not someone that I'm comfortable being confident in. Kennedy, listen, man, he fumbled the bag as a minus 700 when Owens was a plus 500. Then he came back and justified his price tag against, you know, wasn't it Chris who jumped and hurt himself, really, as he was getting announced and coming into the octagon? But still, he would have mangled Chris up in there and picked him apart even without that injury prior to the fight starting, because he just looked good, you know what I mean? But he looked good up against, you know, Chris Barnett, 5'8", you know, tipping the fucking scales in the heavyweight division, built like a fucking T-Rex, you know what I mean? And it is what it is, man. I like Kennedy in a spot, but we can't argue that he has not already fumbled the bag as one of the most significant favorite on the card. So he's close to that minus 500 money line. He's not there yet. So it is what it is, but I just, for all kinds of reasons, I can't be comfortable with him. I'm more comfortable in Joshua Van as the almost low, you know, closely lined fight on the prelims outside of Max and Mike and Eric and Chris. As far as closely lined fights are concerned, I'm more confident in Josh than just about anybody on the whole card. You know what I mean? Because he's going to be able to stuff the majority of the incoming takedowns, if not absolutely every incoming takedown that's going to be coming from Cody. He's going to land the better shots, and he's probably going to clip and disconnect Cody from his consciousness inside the distance for the TKO finish, if we're being honest. You know what I'm talking about? So I really like Joshua in this matchup, man. And then Brian Battle, I really like him against motherfucking Randy Brown, man. I just feel like he's fucking dangerous, you know what I mean? And it's a bad time to be stepping in there with him, unfortunately for Randy Brown, man. So regardless of what the money lines may suggest, I'm more confident in Joshua and Brian than I am in Chase, Kennedy, or Dominic. You know what I'm talking about? And that's just how that go, man. But Brian and Joshua, they come together at plus 133. You know what I'm talking about? You want to toss Max in there, they come together at plus 298. And if you want to toss Chris in there, they come together at plus 696. That's 6 individuals on the prelims. You know, 5 favorites and 1 slight dog, which is Chris. 6 legs at plus 696. You know what I'm talking about? If it's for you, it's for you. If it's not, it's not. Run with it or run from it. Brian, Joshua, and Chris, they come together at plus 367. So 6 legs at plus 696 with 5 favorites and 1 dog is Brian, Joshua. Oh, that's my bad. Brian, Joshua, Max, and Chris. 4 favorites at plus 690. 4 legs at plus 696. That's 3 favorites and 1 dog. I'm looking at so much shit on this page. My eyes scattered on me. My bad, man. I added up. Keeping it light. I added up what I wrote with the names and just put it all together as 6 legs type shit, man. I don't know what the fuck I was looking at for a minute. My bad, y'all. I'd be like this back up, man. Right where I got set, right where where I got it written down, keeping it light. Let's just run that back. Rewind that and run that back. Brian and Joshua, that's 2 legs at plus 133. We toss in Max, that's 3 legs, 3 favorites at plus 298, almost 3 times your money. Then we toss in Chris, the slight underdog, is the 4th leg, and that's 4 legs, 3 favorites, 1 dog at plus 696. You know what I'm talking about? Or 3 legs at plus 367 is Brian, Joshua, and Chris. So, you know, that's 2 legs, 3 legs, and 4 legs. You can jump out wherever you feel uncomfortable at, or you can rock with all of them. You know what I'm talking about? And then that's 3 legs right there. It's Brian and Joshua at plus 133, Brian, Joshua, and Max at plus 298, Brian, Joshua, Max, and Chris at plus 696. Then Brian, Joshua, and Chris at plus 367. All right, now that we done got that out the way correctly, you know what I'm talking about? Boy, oh boy, ain't that a bitch, man. All right, couple light little, you know, haymakers for the prelims. Trying to hit all 7 fights on the prelims. It's 7 fights. What is it, 7 fights? Or it's 8 fights, and I'm missing a fight. Who am I missing right now? Who am I missing right now? I'll get to that in a second. Anyway, so Chase, Kennedy, Dom, Brian, Joshua, Max, Chris, yeah, I ain't missing nobody, and Vicente. Those 8 legs come together at plus 3626. Or you swap out Vicente and toss in Themba, and those 8 legs come together at plus 2079. You know what I'm talking about? I got a bit confused there because I had something scribbled out. So Chase and Kennedy, Dominic and Brian, Joshua and Max, you know what I'm talking about, and Chris. Those 7 legs together are plus 1333. Then I toss in, you know, this is for me. This don't have to be for anybody else. This is for me. This is my little haymaker, Hail Mary, trying to hit all 8 fights on the prelims. This is me. You know what I'm talking about? This is how I put my little shit together. You know what I mean? So if it ain't for you, it ain't for you. You feel me? But it's Chase, Kennedy, Dom, Brian, Joshua, Max, and Chris. I stopped there at plus 1333 for 7 legs. And then I went ahead and did 8 legs. I tossed in Vicente, and they came together at plus 3626. Then I duplicated that ticket, but swapped out Vicente for Themba, and they came together at plus 2079. You know what I'm talking about? But that was just for me. Something like, nothing major. That's just me trying to go ahead and, you know, crack the prelims real quick. Now, this I did, you know, at plus 1731. Nothing crazy, you know what I mean? It's 4 legs. Toss a little dub on it. $5 a man, because I don't want this motherfucker to hit. But if it does hit, $20 at plus 1731, you know, will get me back everything that I invested into the prelims plus some. You know what I'm talking about? So I took Chase, I took Kennedy, and I took Michael Chiesa and Anthony Smith. I don't want this motherfucker to hit. You know what I'm talking about? But at plus 1731, just in case Michael Chiesa drags this one out or finds the finish inside the distance via submission, and Lionheart finds the finish inside the distance or drags it out to a decision, and I'm on the wrong side of, you know, both of those picks as far as Chase and Kennedy goes, for, you know, if they at least come through, and these 2 individuals do too, that's at plus 1731, $5 a man. I threw $20 on it to get that low comeback, and I don't want it to come back. But just in case everything goes left, you feel me? I'll take that. You know what I mean? MainCard shit. Something like, nothing major, per usual. Not as much to do with the main card as there is to do with the prelims based off of the amount of fights. And, you know, same goes for the whole card. But let's talk about it real quick, man. If y'all like these more significant favorites on the main card, with Bryce being the most significant, followed by Shavkat, and if I don't, matter of fact, nah, yeah, then Surreal, because he has leaped over Masvidal. He was below Masvidal at one point in time. He was at like 240, and Masvidal was around 250, and now Gan's like around 290 or something like that, and Masvidal's around like 260, if I'm not mistaken. So, in order from biggest favorite down, if you like this 3-pack, it comes together at plus 105 for what it's worth, and it's Bryce, Shavkat, and Surreal. You know what I'm talking about? Now, they come together at plus 105. But if you like Masvidal, Ivalov, however you say old bull's name, well, the number 4 come together at plus 187. Now, if you toss in Pantoja for the main event, those 5 come together at plus 296. And staying with the favorites. This is staying with the favorites. So that means, you know, we rocking with Nate. Those 6 come together. 6 favorites on the main card. They come together at almost 6 times your money. Just not quite there. Plus 564. Now, if you swap out Nate for Choi to be your one dog on the main card, the Bark, then those 6 come together at plus 787. So Bryce, Shavkat, and Gan, plus 105. Add in Ivalov, plus 187. Toss in Pantoja for plus 296. Toss in Nate for plus 564, or swap out Nate for Choi at plus 787. Now, if you like Bryce and you like Shavkat and you like Surreal Gan and you like Masvidal, but you're kind of unsure about Choi and old boy making his debut in the main event, and you want to roll the dice, then those 6 come together at plus 1930, and that would be Bryce, Shavkat, Gan, Ivalov, Kai, and Choi. You know what I'm talking about? Getting a bit spicy on the main card. You know what I mean? Now, just Masvidal, whatever, just Ivalov, Gan, and Shavkat, those 3, they come together at plus 141. My motherfucking mouth dry. I'm a bit parched. I need a Beverly. You dig me? I need a beverage real quick. But yeah, man, Ivalov, Gan, Rachmanov, those 3, they come together at plus 141. If you're you know, you're solid on them. And in my personal opinion, when it comes to dog plays on the main card, there's really no need to get greedy, man, because the money lines are what the money lines are, man. Volkov's at plus 235. You can, if you like keeping it light, something light, nothing major, and you're all right with some of these like plus 187s, excuse me, plus 296, just try and double up, triple up real quick, respectfully so, understandably so, nothing wrong with that, you know what I'm talking about, and you like these dogs, there's no need to get greedy. Price tags at 235 for Volkov, 280 for Ian, you know what I'm talking about, 205 for Aljo, you got 124 for Choi, understandably so, 390 for Kron, and 215 for Kai. You feel me? And you know, if you wanted to toss like Ian and Alexander Volkov together, they come together 2 legs at plus 1173. You know what I'm talking about? But again, no need to get greedy because the price tags next to these dogs' names, you know, no matter where you want a dog play at, are legitimate enough. You know what I mean? And that's just that with that. You know what I'm talking about? Now, fucking with these whole card parlays, you know what I mean? Or, you know, yeah. See me, you know, if you want to catch 5 favorites at plus 532, You know what I mean? That's Kennedy, Dom, Brian, Joshua, and Max, and you can catch all of them on the prelims in cash before the main card starts. You know what I'm talking about? So if you like those 5 individuals, man, which I do, I very much so have action on them. You know what I'm talking about? Then, you know, and the action I have on them when I duplicate the ticket for a swap out option, the action does not have to be, you know, anywhere near as significant as the original action. It doesn't even have to be half of the ticket for the most part because of the dog tag. If that dog barks, what that dog does as that leg, you know, you know, as a swap out for that leg, less than half of what you put on the one with the favorite is going to bring you back the same payout, if not more. You already know. I ain't telling you nothing you don't know, but I'm telling it to you anyway. I'm going to be redundant because that's what I do. Kennedy, Dom, Brian, Joshua, and Max. They come together at plus 532. And if you don't like the Max pick and you want to stop at Joshua, them 4 come together at plus 271. You know what I mean? Kennedy, Shavkat, Dominic, Brian, Joshua. That's, you know, Kennedy, Dom, Brian, and Joshua from the prelims, and then just waiting for Shavkat to pop on the main card. Them 5, they come together at plus 375. You know what I'm talking about? Now, you know, if you want to get a bit spicy and slide 2 underdogs in there, slightly so, ever so slightly, you know what I'm talking about, then I have a bit of action on this. But based off the price tag, you already know the action does not have to be that significant, man. You know what I'm talking about? Kennedy, Shavkat, Dominic, Joshua, Brian, Chris, ever so slightly, the underdog, and Choi, ever so slightly, the underdog, man. I like Choi in his spot as an underdog, man. You know, both him and Nate are kill or be killed. You know what I'm talking about? They're willing to go out there, take the risks to get the job done, go out on their shield if need be so. You know what I'm talking about? If need be necessary. You know what I'm talking about? And just about all of Choi's finishes come in the first round. He's got a couple that come in the second. The only times he's ever been finished, I believe, were in the second. A lot of Nate's finishes come in the first and the second. The only time Nate's been finished, I believe, has been in the first and the second, but he's been finished, you know, with quickness in the first, with a flying knee by old boy. Like, if Choi gets him out of there, Choi's getting him out of there inside the distance. It's going to be vicious. It's going to be with the quickness, you know what I'm talking about? And I don't think it's going to be, you know, it's going to be inside the first 10 minutes, very much so, probably inside the first 5 minutes. If Nate tries to take it to the ground because he doesn't like how it's going on the feet, he might get caught with an uppercut. He might get caught with a knee. He might get Choi up against the cage and get rained down on with nasty elbows to the motherfucking, you know, temple and back of the ear and all that nasty shit. This fight's going to be vicious. It's going to be fireworks. There's going to be a finish, you know what I mean? I have plays where, you know, this fight is involved and the leg has Nate sitting in it. But I'm just more confident that Choi's going to get it done. But with the price tag, you don't have to sprinkle much, man. Like, it's a 7-legger. You feel what I'm saying to you? At plus 35.30. You could just toss 10 odds on that motherfucker if you want. You could toss 7 odds on that motherfucker if you want. It's gonna bring you back units. You feel what I'm saying to you? Me, personally, it's a 7-legger at plus 35.30. I tossed $35 on it. You know what I'm talking about? I like it. I like Kennedy. I like Shavkat. I like Dominic. I like Joshua. I like Brian. I like Chris. And I like Choi. Why wouldn't I roll the dice on them boys? I like little $35 at plus 35.30. Sign me the fuck up. You know what I'm talking about? If it's not for you, it's not for you. If you want to roll the dice to see if it comes through, toss 10 odds on it. Toss $1 a leg on it. Put 7 odds on it. It's still going to bring you back bread. You know what I mean? And it's not going to be, you know, weight on your chest. And it shouldn't stress you out in any way, shape, form, or fashion. It's 7 or 10 odds, man. Especially if you have, you know, $50 on a 5-legger or, you know, something on $100 on a 2 or 3-legger. It's going to bring you back 2.5 or 3 times your motherfucking money. So you're already kind of feel like you're playing with free money. Like, you should be all right dropping something light on that if you want to roll the dice on that. That's just me. You know what I'm talking about? Now, what I would consider, again, just me, just my personal opinion, you know what I mean? But what I would consider to be, if we're talking about haymakers and Hail Marys, what I would consider to be the most safest Hail Mary, you know what I mean? Chase. And this is, I believe, from the most significant favorite on down, if I'm not mistaken. There's no underdogs involved, because again, this is what we would call, what one would like to call and believe to be a safe, or the safest version of a safe, as safe as a safe Hail Mary can be. You know what I mean? As safe as a safe Hail Mary can be, for what it's worth. From the heaviest favorite on down, you got Chase, Bryce, Kennedy, Shavkat, and Dominic. You know what I'm talking about? Then it's Surreal, Evilov, Brian, Themba, and Joshua. That's 10 legs at plus 1739. Run with it, run from it. But if y'all are on the side of all of these individuals to show up and be the ones to get the job done anyway, why not roll the dice and just throw $1 a man on it? $10 fucking is gonna bring you back almost 200. And if you're on the side of each one of these guys to be the one to get the job done anyway, I would believe that to be the safest Hail Mary play. You know what I'm talking about? Although I might not necessarily be on the same side of all of those guys as far as my picks are concerned, I do truly believe that to be, the safest Hail Mary toss, man, for what it's worth. Joshua, Kennedy, Brian, Evilov, and Surreal. That's 5 legs, 5 favorites, some of them significantly so, spread across the whole card. You know what I'm talking about? 3 on the prelims, 2 on the main, at almost 5 times your money, just not quite there at plus 439. So that's Joshua, Kennedy, Brian, Evilov, and Gon. Joshua, Kennedy, and Brian from the prelims, Evilov and Gon from the main card, 5 legs, 5 favorites at plus 439. You know what I'm talking about? It is what it is, man. Something like, nothing major, man. Now let's talk about this Hail Mary. Let's talk about this Hail Mary I have in for the whole card on the app for all 14 fights. We gonna take this walk together, man. How I got there. You know what I'm talking about? I need to roll another Jimmy Jammer up out this motherfucker, man. Alright, fuck with me. So, this is, all favorites for the most part. You know what I mean? And, let's take this walk. So you got Themba and Brian at plus 119. Then Themba, Brian, and Gon at plus 195. Themba, Brian, Gon, and Evilov at plus 313. Themba, Brian, Gon, Evilov, and Shavkat at plus 430. Themba, Brian, Gon, Evilov, Shavkat, and Dominic at plus 586. And then this where the degenerate in me gets a kick for the 7th and 8th leg. You know what I'm talking about? Because it's Themba. It's 7 legs, 7 favorites. Themba, Brian, Gon, Evilov, Shavkat, Dom, and Kennedy. 7 legs, 7 favorites at plus 741. The degenerate in me just loves absolutely everything about that. Yeah, I'm talking about, and the same can be said about this. Themba, Brian, Gon, Evilov, Shavkat, Dominic, Kennedy, and Chase. 8 legs, 8 favorites, and plus 854. You know what I'm talking about? Everything about all of that. The degenerate in me just loves. Absolutely, yeah. 8 legs, 8 favorites, and plus 854. 7 legs, 7 favorites, 7 legs, 7 favorites, and plus 741. Mandatory sprinkle. Keep it moving, man. Themba, Brian, Gon, Evilov, Shavkat, Dominic, Kennedy, Chase, and Bryce. That's 9 legs at plus 1037. And then we toss in Joshua, Themba, Brian, Gon, Evilov, Shavkat, Dominic, Kennedy, Chase, Bryce, and Joshua. 10 legs at plus 1739. Then we toss in Max. That's 11 legs. Themba, Brian, Gon, Evilov, Shavkat, Dominic, Kennedy, Chase, Bryce, Joshua, and Max. 11 legs at plus 3035. Then we toss in Chris. That's the 12th leg at plus 6171. Then we toss in Choi. You know what I'm talking about? As the 13th leg. And that comes at plus 13,947. Now, I don't have something on all of these. I started to put sprinkles from the 7 legs at 741 and the 8 legs at 854, and I sprinkled on from there. You know what I'm talking about? But just like those sprinkles, man. But again, so now we all the way down to my one dog, which is Choi. You know what I mean? Themba, Brian, Gon, Evilov, Shavkat, Dominic, Kennedy, Chase, Bryce, Joshua, Max, Chris, Choi. That has us at plus 13,947. Now I'm talking about. Then we toss in Pantoja for the 14th leg at plus 19,249. But then we do the same ticket and swap out Pantoja and toss in Kai. And it goes from plus 19,249 to plus 44,150. You know what I'm talking about? But, you know, only reason I spoke all those plus money number lines out to you is so that wherever you start to feel uncomfortable, you can tap the fuck out and, you know, cap your shit out right there. Like if you're comfortable with, you know, if you're just comfortable with Themba Brian at plus 119, solid. You like Gon too, they're plus 195. Cool with Evilov at plus 313. If you're good with Dom or Shavkat on that at plus 430 and Dom at plus 586. But unsure about Kennedy, then you tap out there. But if you're good with Kennedy too, 7 legs, 7 favorites at plus 741. And you're good with motherfucking Chase, 8 legs, 8 favorites at plus 854. You know what I mean? Wherever you feel uncomfortable, man. You toss in Bryce at plus 1037, toss in Joshua at plus 1739, toss in Max at plus 3055. If you're uncomfortable there, then stop there. Add a swap out option there with Michael. You understand what I'm saying to you? And then go to Chris. Add the swap out option with Eric. Or if you just don't want to add out swap out options, you just like Mike and you like motherfucking Eric, then you add Mike and you like Eric and you add Eric and you get your plus money number there. You know what I'm talking about? And if you don't like Choi, then you put Nate in. Wherever you feel uncomfortable as we came down this motherfucking line. That's where you tap out, and that's where you apply. You start to apply your swap out options. The moment you have questions, wherever that was, it could be before the 7 legs, 7 favorites at plus 741. I'm just a degenerate. And that fine-tuned the degenerate engine in me and made me just want to jump all over it, as well as 8 legs at plus 854. If I get 10 legs that come in at plus 1057 or something like that, I'm all over it, man. You understand what I'm saying to you? Even if it's just $10 to get that $150 back. You understand what I'm saying to you? Because you don't have to go crazy when we're talking about these parlays and we're talking about these numbers. But that's why I wanted you to take that little walk with me on how I got all the way down to that 14-leg Hail Mary Haymaker toss on the application. You know what I mean? Where I'm allowed to bet on all 14 fights. You feel what I'm saying to you? So I do a lot of these you know, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10 leg parlays because I'm used to just going over to the casino and having to pick a side. And that's why it's not a whole lot of props involved in my shit neither. But when all these props drop for UFC 310, which they haven't as of yet that I know about, maybe they will. I'll tap in a little bit later and find out. I am going to do an all prop parlay video for this card because I feel like there's a lot of props that are, you know, have the potential to pop the fuck off, man, and secure the bag for us in some way, shape, form, or fashion for certain matchups. You understand what I'm saying to you? Whether that's just picking, you know, will round 2 or will round 3 start, yes or no type situation, or whatever the case may be. I got some solid shit coming for us, you know what I'm talking about? But yeah, that's why I did it like that and read out all those numbers all the way down from you know, top to bottom, bottom to top, however you want to call it out, so that wherever you wanted to, you know, gracefully bow the fuck out, you could do so, man. And apply your swap out options and move forward accordingly. You know what I'm talking about? But that's it, man. Something like nothing major, you know what I mean? Something like for the prelims, something like for the main card, the whole card. You know, dog plays for what they worth, swap out options, all favorites, haymakers, Hail Marys, and you know how we made it that far. You know what I'm talking about? So it is what it is. I appreciate y'all for tapping in, man. Hopefully, you know, something can be made useful out of all of this in some way, shape, form, or fashion as far as helping you to get to the bag, you know what I mean? Take from it what you will, dissect this motherfucker, and, you know, do what you will, you know what I mean? But get to the bag in some way, shape, form, or fashion. And I know it seems extra and a whole lot as far as prelim parlays and then main card parlays and then whole card parlays and, you know, swap out options and all that, but it don't have to be. You know what I'm talking about? You don't have to go crazy. If you're going to, you know, drop a little 250 or 300 or something like that onto a few motherfuckers or a couple motherfuckers to get 2.5, 3.5 times your money back, there's nothing wrong with that. You know what I'm talking about? And, you know, if you was thinking about taking another little, you know, yard or so and putting it in there, even if you wasn't, you could take your little 250 instead of just, you know, putting the whole 250 down and getting it, you know, 2.5, 3.5 times your money back. Put the little 150 down on it and take that other yard, since you was going to invest it into the card anyway. You know, that little 150 you put down on those couple to a few legs to get that 2.5 to 3.5 times your money back is going to get you everything back, plus a little something, as long as you sure it's going to secure, and it does so. You know what I'm talking about? So take the $150 and put it on it, and then take the other buck and play. You know what I mean? Put some prelim parlays together. You know what I'm talking about? You don't have to go crazy on them. You can drop 10 hours on them and they going to bring you back hundreds of dollars, or over 100, over a couple $100. You know what I'm talking about? Put some main card parlays together. You don't got to put nothing crazy on them. You know what I mean? Maybe you know, you like the favorites, or you like most of the favorites on the prelims, so you take 5 of them. Maybe you're unsure about Nate and Choi, you know, but you like the rest of them. Or maybe it's not Nate and Choi, maybe it's the main event. Whoever it is, you find who you like on the main card. You know what I mean? And you drop a little 25 on them. You know what I'm talking about? See who you like on the prelims. You drop a little, you know, 25 on them, and then, you know, take 25 other dollars on the prelims and you 25 other for the main card. You know what I'm talking about? And put a couple little, you know, $10 swap out options in, just to, you know, be sure to secure the door about whatever fight you had a question on. You know what I mean? Put a little $10 swap out option in. Put 25 on your main card, people, and then $10 swap out option in, because the swap out option is a plus money number, and it's going to bring you back the same thing as the $25 ticket, if not more. Do the same thing on the prelims. You know what I'm talking about? Then that's 35 on the prelims. It's 35 on the main card. That's $70 right there. You got $30 left to play with for the whole card. You know what I'm talking about? So you go ahead and you take and just put in like 10 little, you know, 3 little $10, you know, 7 or 8 leggers. You know what I'm talking about? Where you try to hit the whole card. and shit comes together and you click on all cylinders, it's gonna look a hell of a lot. That $250 investment is gonna look a hell of a lot better than it did if you just put it into that motherfucking one play at 2.5, 3.5 times your money, because that 150 is gonna get that 2.5, 3.5 times your money back. And this, $25 play on the prelims might secure you a couple $100, and the $25 play on the main card might secure you a couple $100. And if it doesn't, maybe the $10 swap out option secures you the couple $100. You understand what I'm saying to you? And then maybe one of your motherfucking one, if not all, if not two. You understand what I'm saying to you? Out of the three $10 whole card, 6, 7, or 8 leg parlays secure the bag for you for a couple $100. Now you're up a couple $100 on the motherfucking prelims, a couple $100 on the main card, a couple $100 for the few card, and your $150 turned into 2.5, 3.5 times the 150 that you wanted it to turn into. Now your $250 investment done, really fucking smacked and turned it into something significantly so for you, and you had action all over the place, swapped out options, so you was a bit more comfortable when fights got to getting a bit spicy. You know what I'm talking about? And it just is what it is, man. You know what I'm talking about? It is what it is. It seems, extra, but when jokers be tapping in talking about, oh man, I had 300 on these 6 legs, and 4 of them came through on the prelims, and I was waiting for these 2 on the main card, and the main card opener was one of them, and then it was the co-main event that fumbled the bag, or it was the main card opener that fumbled the bag, and the co-main event came through, but it was really too late for me to really do anything, even on live betting, because the way the money lines were, and the rest of the favorites did what they were supposed to do. You know what I mean? Listen. That's why I break my shit down, spread my shit the fuck out. I'm investing this much into the card anyway. Let me find my solid plays on the prelims, even if it's 5 legs, $10 a leg for $50. If it's 3 legs, you know what I'm talking about? Whatever it is, man, I find it and I'll go heavy on that. I'll find it on the main card and I'll go heavy on that. But that's me finding who I like on the prelims and maybe putting 50 on it. And then who I like on the main card and locking them in for like 50. Who I like on the whole card and locking them motherfuckers in for like 25 or 50. You feel what I'm saying to you? And then I go ahead and find who I like, as far as the whole prelims are concerned, you know what I mean? Because my little $50 that I put down might be for just 2.5 or 3 times my money back on 2 or 3, maybe 4 dudes on the prelims, you know what I mean? Maybe usually 3 people, you feel me? And the same can be said about the main card, unless I like, we have 7 or 8 fights on the prelims and 5 or 6 fights on the main card, and I like, 4 or 5 individuals on the prelims, and all 5 of the motherfuckers on the main card I'm solid on, and I might drop 50 on that and 50 on that. You know what I mean? But I break my shit up. I break my shit up, man. You know what I'm talking about? Because it's a must. It's absolutely necessary as far as I'm concerned, because maybe my main play fumbles the bag by 1 leg and that shit don't come through. Well, if I just put 500 into that main play and 1 dude fumbles the bag and it don't come through, I'm out my 500 for the night. I'm mad as a motherfucker. You know what I'm talking about? I'm mad as a motherfucker about that fight in that 1 leg. I'm cussing myself out. I want to put my head through a fucking drywall just to quiet myself down in here. You know what I'm talking about? Because I'm telling myself all types of shit. You knew better, this, that, and the motherfucking third. Like, if I drop a whole nickel into this card and 1 leg fumbles on me, I'm out that whole nickel from 1 play. If I'm going to put this nickel into the card, man, I'll take half of that nickel. I'll take 250 and put it on that 1 play. And hopefully that 1 play comes through and that 250 does what I want that 250 to do and what I expect that 250 to do. But this other 250, I'm going to play with it. And I'm going to put some swap out options in. You know what I'm talking about? And rightfully so, in my personal opinion, because if that 250 doesn't come through, hopefully I have proper parlay placement on another parlay that I put in for like, 25 or $30, $40, you feel me, depending on how many legs is on that motherfucker. I added the swap out option. It smacks, maybe not as significantly so, but it smacks. It gets me my nickel back and a little bit of profit, and I'm all right with that. You know what I'm talking about? I like to secure my back door. I like to cover my bases. And if I put all my, cookies in one bag, one can, one jar, eggs in one basket, however they say it, whatever you want to call it, man. I'm not comfortable with that. I'm not comfortable with that. And when we talk about betting and parlaying, man, you know, it's hard to be comfortable, but I like to be as comfortable as possible, man. I like to feel like I have all my doors properly secured, all my bases covered, and you know, no matter which way some of these outcomes, you know, unfold, I'm properly prepared as far as parlay placement is concerned for those outcomes, you know what I mean? And if I'm not, I'm gonna be stressing the fuck out, man. You know what I'm talking about? I'm gonna be stressing the fuck out. I have to have action on the prelims. I have to have action on the main card. Then I have my action on the whole card. Don't get it twisted. I look at the card, I see who I like. So I get it. Like I said, I see who I like. And if I'm willing to invest this much in the card, whatever I'm willing to invest in that card, I'm going to take half of that. And from the door, it don't matter that who I like is, some of it's on the prelims and some of it's on the main card. Some of them might be underdogs. Some of them might be significant favorites. It doesn't matter. I'm taking who I like and I'm putting half of that bag on them. Boom. And then I'm sitting down with the other half of the bag. And I'm structuring my shit out. Prelim parlays, main card parlays, a light little whole card parlay that's a duplicate of my main shit that my gut was telling me to go with, and I dropped half my bag on. But I'm gonna apply some swap out options, or just a swap out option wherever my questions were. You know what I'm talking about? I'll make sure I tender that ticket to the best of my fucking ability. You know what I mean? And then it is what it is. You already know, man. You know, prelims, main card, whole card. I do my all favorites, you know what I'm saying? And swap out options, and they're all light little sprinkles, man. They $10 and $20 sprinkles, man. Might catch a little 25, or you know what I mean, a $40 sprinkle on 4 legs. You know, if they you know, all favorites or something like that. It all depends, man. Or if I'm applying a swap out option and I just had questions on, you know, the 4th leg, this another play that I had something heavy on. You know, it's all light with the other half, but that other half at light, that shit adds up, man. That shit comes back, because like I said, some nights you hitting on all cylinders, man. Your main play came through, your prelims, your whole card, your prelims, your main card, your other whole cards, you know what I mean? Your swap out options, them tickets went out the window, but who gives a fuck, because you hitting on all cylinders, man. And the payout is so much more significant than if you just put it all in one spot and roll the dice. Because, yeah, you might win at the end of the night, and a win's a win. Now I'm talking about nothing wrong with it. If that's how you rocking, rock how you rocking. I'm not trying to, you know, steer you in another direction. I'm just saying, for me, personally, that's how I operate. It's what makes me more comfortable, and it's personally why I believe that over the course of these last 40 UFC events, I've been able to cash either tickets or a ticket in some way, shape, form, or fashion for 30 of those events. Whether it was something like just getting my money back, you know what I'm talking about? Something like, nothing major, just a little bit of profit, something nice, something very significant, or just obliterated the fucking card, you know what I'm talking about? It's because I've sat down and I've done these, and it's because of y'all, you know what I'm talking about? Because if I wasn't doing these for y'all, and I was just doing what I was doing, and, you know, applying my little bit of swap out options for my action and all that, I probably wouldn't have been able to cash on as many cards as I've been able to cash on, because, you know, it's a lot of the parlays I put together for y'all, individuals that aren't necessarily on the same side as me as far as these picks are concerned. You know what I'm talking about? All favorites parlays with some of the swap out options applied, you know what I'm talking about, that were very much so necessary and needed at the end of the night, that have came through and cashed and made it so I was able to secure the bag. You know what I'm talking about? So it is what it is. I'll be redundant as fuck, and I held y'all ear hostage for long enough. When the props drop, I'll be back with a prop parlay video for UFC 310. Until then, you know, peace and blessings. I hope everybody enjoys the holiday. If you don't celebrate it, enjoy the time off. If you took it, or the time and a half, if you're working. You understand what I'm saying to you? Either which way you look at it, I hope everything goes, you know, according to plan, man. And everybody enjoys everything for what it's worth. You know what I mean? Whatever you got going on, peace and blessings.